For nearly 1,000 years, Constantinople stood where Europe met Asia, its massive walls rising above the waters of the Bosporus. Like a final monument to Rome, long after the western half of the Roman Empire had fallen, this city endured. Its domes shimmered in sunlight. Its markets carried the languages of 3 continents. Its churches guarded the faith of emperors. It was not merely a city. It was an idea that Rome, in some form, would never truly die. But by the spring of 1453, that idea was fragile. The Byzantine Empire had shrunk to little more than Constantinople itself, and a few scattered territories beyond its reach. The population that once numbered in the hundreds of thousands had dwindled. Entire districts inside the walls stood half abandoned. Gardens grew where neighborhoods once thrived. The treasury was nearly empty. The empire struggled to defend its own gates. Yet the walls still stood. The Theodosian walls, massive layers of stone and brick stretching across the western side of the city, had repelled invaders for centuries. Arabs, Persians, Bulgars, Crusaders, all had tested them. All had failed. The people of Constantinople trusted those walls as if they were eternal. But beyond the city, a new power had risen. The Ottoman Empire had grown steadily for generations, surrounding Constantinople from every side. Its territories stretched across Anatolia and deep into the Balkans. And at its helm now stood a young sultan, with an ambition far greater than his age suggested. Mehmed II was only 21 years old, but he had studied the city, its defenses, its weaknesses, its history. He did not see Constantinople as a relic. He saw it as destiny. To conquer the city would not only grant him control of the Bosporus, it would end the Roman Empire forever. It would make him the ruler who achieved what others could not. And so, in early 1453, he began to prepare. He gathered an army unlike any the Byzantines had ever faced. Tens of thousands of soldiers. Elite janissaries trained from youth. Cavalry, infantry, engineers. And most terrifying of all, cannons. Massive cannons. Among them was a colossal bombard cast by a Hungarian engineer named Urban. This enormous weapon was capable of firing stone balls. Weighing hundreds of kilograms, it took hours to reload. It shook the earth when it fired, and its purpose was clear: to break the walls that had stood for 1,000 years. Inside Constantinople, Emperor Constantine XI understood what was coming. He had perhaps 7,000 defenders. 7,000 to protect a city surrounded by an army many times that number. Foreign mercenaries stood beside Greek soldiers. Venetian and Genoese volunteers manned sections of the walls. Citizens took up arms. Monks prayed. Blacksmiths worked without rest. The emperor moved among his men, not as a distant ruler, but as a soldier. He refused to abandon the city. He refused to surrender. On April 6, 1453, the siege began. The Ottoman cannons roared. The sound echoed across the land like thunder tearing open the sky. Stone balls slammed into the Theodosian walls, sending fragments of ancient masonry crashing to the ground. The earth trembled. Smoke filled the air. Day after day, the bombardment continued. Sections of wall collapsed, and each night, the defenders rebuilt them under cover of darkness. Rubble was stacked. Timber reinforcements were raised. Every sunrise brought another storm of fire. Meanwhile, the Golden Horn, the waterway protecting the city's northern side, was sealed by a massive iron chain. The Byzantines believed this would prevent the Ottoman fleet from entering, but Mehmed found another way. Ottoman forces transported ships overland on greased logs, dragging them across hills and launching them into the Golden Horn behind the chain. When the citizens awoke to see enemy ships inside their harbor, fear spread through the city like fire. The siege tightened. Food grew scarce. Exhaustion set in. Still, the walls held. Weeks passed. The cannons continued. The defenders fought back fiercely. Arrows rained down. Stones were hurled. Small victories lifted morale. Each failed Ottoman assault proved the city was not yet ready to fall. But the pressure never ceased. Inside Hagia Sophia, the great cathedral at the heart of the city, prayers echoed beneath its vast dome. Once the grandest church in Christendom, it now became a sanctuary of desperation. They knew the end might be near. On the night of May 28th, a strange calm settled over Constantinople. The cannons fell silent. The sky above the city glowed faintly from distant campfires surrounding it. Emperor Constantine XI walked the walls one last time. He spoke to his soldiers. He thanked the foreign volunteers who had come to defend a dying empire. He asked forgiveness for any wrong he had done. He was not preparing for survival. He was preparing for death. In the early hours of May 29th, the final assault began. Wave after wave of Ottoman troops surged toward the breaches in the walls. The first were irregular forces, sent to exhaust the defenders. They fell in great numbers, but they pressed forward relentlessly. Then came more disciplined troops. Then, at last, the Janissaries. Elite, determined, unyielding, the fighting was brutal. Hand-to-hand combat in narrow gaps of shattered stone. Screams mixed with the clash of steel. Smoke, dust, and blood filled the air. Somewhere amid the chaos, a small gate, the Kirkoporta, was reportedly left unsecured. Ottoman forces poured through. Panic spread. The defenders were overwhelmed. Emperor Constantine XI removed his imperial insignia so he would not be recognized. He chose not to flee. Instead, he charged into the fighting and disappeared into history. His body was never definitively identified. By sunrise, the banners of the Ottoman Empire flew above the city. Constantinople had fallen. The last remnant of Rome was no more. As Ottoman soldiers entered the city, chaos followed. For hours, the city endured looting and violence, the harsh realities of medieval conquest. Yet Mehmed II soon rode into the city himself. He did not wish to destroy Constantinople. He wished to claim it. When he entered Hagia Sophia, he ordered it converted into a mosque. The great cathedral that had stood for nearly 1,000 years would now serve a new faith. But the city would live. Under Ottoman rule, Constantinople would become Istanbul, capital of a rising empire that would dominate southeastern Europe. The fall of Constantinople did more than end an empire. It changed the world. With Ottoman control of key trade routes between Europe and Asia, European powers sought new paths to the east. Within decades, explorers would sail westward across unknown oceans. The age of exploration began. The Renaissance accelerated as scholars fleeing the fallen city carried ancient Greek manuscripts into Western Europe. A medieval world ended. A new era emerged. For nearly 1,000 years, Constantinople had stood as a shield between continents. In 1453, that shield shattered. Yet the city did not vanish. It transformed. Its stones still stand. Its skyline still bridges Europe and Asia. Its history still echoes in every dome and minaret. The fall of Constantinople was not a quiet ending. It was a turning of the world. An empire died, another rose, and history moved forward, not gently, but with thunder.